from your experience, how are teams and athletes, I think just in the same way that they're embracing maybe analytics and things like that, how are teams embracing the sports psychology and again, maybe the proactive approach to mental health versus, fixing somebody that has the yips or some other mental issue?
Yeah, well, let's go at the game's highest levels. Major League Baseball has been fantastic. They have mental training teams now. And actually the athletes themselves are the ones that had to go into the collective bargaining agreement where they said, we want to make this a requirement. You need to provide us. Every team's got a psychologist. In the NFL, same thing. Every team through the NFLPA has got at least one psychologist on staff to refer. And so that's becoming more and more of a thing, is that all of these major league teams, and it's been around in the Olympics for a few decades, and that staff is even growing, of just saying, if you want to be your best, we have to have psychology involved for the whole spectrum, for the mental training to handle the normal pressures. And again, if you're out there and you're an athlete or you're a high performer in any area, you should be anxious. I'm sure we'll talk about that. But to
Yep.
handle the normal pressures, but then for the other things, because you're also husbands and wives, and you've got family, and you've got other things outside maybe of your sport. Like, life is going on. There's depression, anxiety, there's stress, there's illness. Like, the world is a difficult place. And when I've worked with elite athletes, sometimes I'm talking about the game, but sometimes I'm talking about their boyfriend or girlfriend, or what it's like to be traveling, or their worry about their contract, because that stuff shows up on the court if you don't find a way to navigate it and manage it.
Mhm.
So, and we're not anywhere near where we need to be. So if there are any administrators out there, I'm like, please put more money and effort into this, because it's a win-win. Not only will you be helping the athlete emotionally and as a good human being and health wise, but when they're their best in their health, they're going to be their best in their performance. You don't sacrifice one
Mhm.
for the other. In fact, when you're not investing in the mental game, there's a big risk of people falling behind and not being their best.
Yeah. I
So
think
it's a
that, like,
win.
yeah, in and of itself is a new approach of just you talked about handling things off the field, off the court. The other things, I think the traditional way of thinking was once they're between those lines, nothing else matters. They're gonna be able to focus, and it doesn't matter what's happening in their personal lives. They have to be able to shut that out. And I think we've learned that that's just not the case. Just like they're gonna get a bum knee checked out, even if it's not injured, if it's a little bugging them a little bit, they need to get that checked out if they're gonna perform. Just like if they have some kind of personal or mental issue, they have to maybe not resolve it, but at least address it and work through it in order to be their best,
Well, I love the
on
tone
the
that you
court.
had said it, because that's it. Well, look, they just got to learn how to block that out, as if that's something
Hmm.
that's automatic. So even with that attitude, I would say, okay, then how are they going to learn it? Like, bring somebody in who can actually teach them to do exactly what you said they need to do, because there's nothing natural about being able to block negative thoughts.
Got it.
So
So yeah, they
even when
they
you
learn
get
the
that
techniques
annoyance of
and
like,
stuff.
look, they just need to do it. Well, okay, then teach them.
Hmm.
Let's coach
Yeah.
them. You hear about coaching is effective in sport, isn't it?
Yeah, I would think so. So yeah, let's get back to what interested you in this topic and what made you decide to pursue this.
Okay, so the short story is I was always a psychology nerd. I was interested in Freud, reading analysis of dreams in high school, and I just was fascinated. And I was a runner, and I was very average, best of the worst, worst of the best. But my whole identity was wrapped up as a runner for whatever reason. My senior year, I kept coming across the finish line with this pressure. I was a half miler, wanted to break 2:10. So again, not bad, but not super fast. But for whatever reason, you get those markers that are like really important, and you got to get into that single digits of 209. But all year, I'm running 211, 211, 211, and I'm coming across the finish line, not tired, not exhausted like I should be, and then going over to the bleachers and throwing up as if I was exhausted. And so
Hmm.
even at the time, I'm like, what's going on? Like, something's weird, but I didn't know. What I did know is that as soon as I crossed the finish line, I was like, ugh, I did it again. Like, if I'm not tired, I could run faster. I just need to do it the next time. So let's fast forward. What was going on? Well, I discovered later on, as I looked back, that my identity as an athlete was so threatened that if I tried and I failed, traditional fear of failure,
Hmm.
I would have been emotionally hurt in some way. Now, I say that with confusion now, because then I thought it would have been like impossible. But I mean, like, as you look at it, I'm like, I was still running 211. I was still failing. So it doesn't make sense. And this is the power of why I was so fascinated with psychology. It doesn't make sense. But somehow, by me keeping the hope alive, that if I just did something differently, I didn't really fail. I just made a behavioral mistake. I could be the guy I want to be. I could be the runner I want to be. I just have to do this the next time.
Hmm.
And that psychological protection was quite automatic. I didn't do it but on purpose rather. But it was holding me back because I was still running 211 by keeping the hope alive, by not actually testing it. So good news. My last race ran a 209. I'm not sure if the coach was a little bit fast on the thumb or not, but I'm going to say that I officially did it. But the question is, if I had learned how to interact with that differently, how would my career have been? If I was able to recognize that my girlfriend still loved me, whether I was running 209 or 211, nothing changed. My parents were completely happy and connected to me no matter what. My teammates, every time I ran 211, were supportive and encouraging. The coach was good. Like, what is it exactly that I was afraid of? Because if I could just see that I was failing and all the things I was afraid of didn't happen, might I have been freed to test it. And then I was a great practice athlete. I ran year round. I mean, coach would compliment me. He actually did say this. It kind of hurt. He just shook his head with me and he goes, "Gosh, if everybody practiced like you, they would just be amazing." And I was like,
The backhanded
"What are you
compliment.
saying?" like, like I got the practice part right, but I couldn't deliver on race day.
Hmm.
And it was, I mean, I don't know. Could I have done a 205? Could I have done a 159? My training suggests that maybe I could have. So I immediately, when I was in college, I wanted to do clinical psychology, and I didn't even discover that sports psychology was a thing until the very last class that I took. I was like, what's
Wow.
this? Sports
Okay.
psychology? And I'm like, are you telling me there's something I could have done about this over the last 8 years now that my career is over? Um, and I immediately fell in love with it. And then as where everything took off, I went to graduate school. I still wanted the clinical stuff, as I had said, to specialize in what athletes suffer from the most, but I knew I wanted to do it for athletes. And so sports psychology became my thing. And honestly, I don't think I'll ever retire
Hmm.
because it answers all those questions that I had had. I help people get out of their way. I help normalize all the things that I went through. When I have a lot of athletes, when they're all caught up in that identity and afraid of this, I feel so blessed to be able to help them unhook from that and create that peace so that they can love and enjoy their sports again and play better at the same time.
Hmm.
So I'm super
Yeah.
excited.